It is 5:30, January 5th. This is policy committee. Okay, so I guess, looking at the form for breathalyzer parent consent form, alcohol testing consent form. So which is it? I think if, I don't know why we have this here.
Yeah, it's already at the top.
Yeah, that just doesn't make any sense, especially since it's a different name than what's on the form. Are we good with removing it?
Yes, but you've got 3370 just floating in there. You have to have some kind of,
I don't even know why that's
Okay.
there. I think those can be struck as well.
or
they can go to the bottom.
or to the bottom, or I know parentheses wouldn't be the best, but just saying per policy 3370, 3410. If that's, so they have some sort of reference.
Move them to the bottom, just because I don't know the intent. Typically, we don't,
Do that on a form.
we don't do that on
Yeah.
the form. But I'll move them to the bottom, just to get them out of my visual.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll read through the form, then we'll look at what Megan says. On behalf of my student, guest student of Lakeland Joint High School, name of student. Okay. We should do this. Let's see, Control C. And put this here. Because the name of the student needs to come after that, in my opinion. So on behalf of my student, and then there's a line for the student name of Lakeland Joint School District 272.
I would refer you.
I think it's a comma.
Is that a comma?
Yeah.
It is. But we can do there we go. I blank the parent custodian of above student. Okay.
Student.
Of the above named student.
Or just say name of the name student. Yeah, well, I guess you do have to say above. Or the student named above. There we
Yeah,
go.
there's all sorts of ways we can say it. We can have a consensus on it. Hereby give my consent to authorize Lakeland Joint School District number 272 administrators, SROs, ADSS faculty. Okay, so one of Megan's comments was she doesn't know what it is. Yeah, so I think we should identify these. I'll see if it's listed below. I don't think it is, but just in case, because if it's not, then we can just move those and the armed district safety specialists. I don't think we need faculty. Because I think that could imply beyond, I mean, I know why it's there, but, oh, stop it. Because I think in all of our other policies, we do spell it out before we give the abbreviation. Okay, so, consent to administrators, school resource officers, and armed district safety specialists to determine the absence or the presence of, or the presence of alcohol in my student's body through the use of breathalyzers at any LJSD school-sponsored student activity. That's just a weird statement. I would say to, that we're going to give permission for those people to use breathalyzers at any school-sponsored student activity prior to the entry of school-sponsored. Let's be redundant. Okay. Can we work on this?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Cause I also think sometimes vague is better.
Right.
So,
I would say to use a breathalyzer
Prior to entry to school sponsored
yeah, and
activities.
just keep it, like, who cares about them determining the absence or presence? They're using it for a reason, so.
school-sponsored, I can add student there. So, I, the above-named parent, custodian of the above-named student, hereby give my consent to authorize Lakeland Joint School District number 272 administrators, school resource officers, and our district safety specialists to use a breathalyzer prior to entry of school-sponsored
Entry,
student.
not entry of, but entry to school sponsored.
Prior to entry. Oops.
And I also removed the S in SROs, you don't need the S. No, there, in abbreviation.
Okay.
I would almost say administer a breathalyzer.
I was gonna
Yeah.
change it to utilize.
Or yes, yeah,
You-
yeah.
okay.
Okay. All right, to utilize a breathalyzer. Correct, I laid out the S.
Yeah. Oh, is it
Prior-
on now?
It
Yeah,
is.
okay.
It's wanky, but yeah.
Good
To-
catch.
To utilize a breathalyzer prior to entry into school-sponsored student activities. There we go. Maybe we should say utilize a breathalyzer, on my,
Yeah, I was thinking that was missing, student.
child. Cause that's what it is, what it is. I want to make this on behalf of my child or guest. See, and here's the other thing though. I don't know that a parent can consent for another child that's not theirs.
No, but you're saying, I would go to Post Falls High School, but I wanna go to this game. And so my parent is consenting. I'm a guest student, I'm not a student. That's what that's saying.
Or-
Student from another school,
Like if they come to our prom or whatever.
yeah.
So you'd have to keep a student on
Yeah,
behalf
you
of
need the
my.
student on there because maybe my child, like the school district student or guest student. Because we're not doing it for any child, we're doing it.
No, I hear you, the language is challenging.
But the guest student is a student.
I get what
from
you're
another
saying,
school.
but the problem is the language down in the bottom paragraph, I think, oh no, it's fine. So give my child
when you say my child too, that's implying that you are the actual parent, but then below it's guardian or custodian.
I know.
So then you
All
get into
right.
other,
Mhm. So then if that's it on.
Hi guys.
Hello.
Oh.
How are we doing today?
We're deep in.
Yeah, I see it. I love
Focus.
it. Focus. That's awesome.
In response to your email, that is so exciting. Can I go too?
Oh yeah. We'll just talk to the boss and see what she says. Anyway, I sent you an email.
Oh, okay.
They want me to referee their the first annual spirit game of Mountain View.
Mhm.
It's during our agenda planning time, so I just asked for an alternative time so I could go do that for them.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, so that's all it was about.
Okay.
So you guys got a well hand. If you need me to come in, that's good. This is good for you guys. I appreciate it. So yeah.
Okay. Okay, so on behalf of my student,
You could put in parentheses, child.
no, I understand
I-
that.
I-
This
I
whole
get what you
student
want.
to
I-
guest student, to me, there needs to, I mean, what are we circling them? What are we doing? Because if it's a guest student, they're not of Lakeland.
Right.
So that's where I'm like, I guess I'm thrown, because
Yep.
that's what's bugging me, really.
Well,
Then I would almost just take out Lakeland.
Okay, so,
Or my student's guest.
But you can't sign
Yeah,
for
there's
somebody.
like-
yeah,
you
yeah,
can't
no,
just
you
sign.
can't sign for somebody else's.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's tricky.
do we, let's see, on behalf of my students, we
So
could-
just, yeah, take that out, put a comma, and then then that comma makes sense.
oopsies.
That was in there before. Cause then
That
it's
was
comma, on behalf of my student, my guest student, blah, I, so-and-so, the parent, guardian, custodian of said student.
So you're saying take
hereby-
that out?
Take that out, have the comma, and then, get rid of the semicolon. Comma, and then that would follow. That makes sense.
And then, yeah, if you wanna have Lakeland on there, you could do breathalyzer, parent consent
But it's
form,
already, it's
Lakeland
down, I
school.
consent, I authorized.
Oopsies.
And that's
Oh,
what I
yeah.
had, that's,
This is just me being me, because I guess, I'm sorry.
yeah, my student, or my guest student. Please circle, okay.
Because
Yeah.
people don't know what they're supposed to do.
Name of student, then I, the parent, guardian, blah, 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 the above name hereby give my consent to authorize the Lakeland School District.
Administrators,
Yes.
right.
And this is under,
Yeah.
this is all on our website, so. you
Yeah,
don't
because
need-
if
you don't
you-
need the Lakeland School District up above.
If you really wanna go down a rabbit hole, not everybody's even a student. If there's somebody that graduated last year
Right.
and they're a guest, then they're
Right.
not a guest student, they're just a
Right.
guest.
But generally they are, yeah, that's true.
So.
But then if they've graduated, then they're probably 19, don't need a parent's
Yeah,
permission,
yep,
consent.
That's true.
that's true, yeah.
That is true.
So this is directed to under 18.
Yeah, I think respectively classifying it as a student has to do with the age.
Okay,
I think. At least that's what I'm pulling out of this. Okay, so hereby give my consent to authorize Lakeland Joint School District number 272 administrators, school resource officers, and armed district safety specialists to utilize a breathalyzer on the above named student prior to entry to school-sponsored student activities. I further understand that a positive test, refusal to authorize this form, or refusal to take the test may result in disciplinary action up to and including dismissal of said school-sponsored activity and property. What? I understand that any positive test administered will result in parent contact following the positive test, refusal to authorize the form, or refusal from my student to take the test. What is SST mean? Okay, stand that refusal to consent breathalyzer, parent consent form, a positive test, or a refusal to take the test may result in disciplinary action up to and including dismissal from said school-sponsored activity from district property and further potential disciplinary action in accordance with district policies. Oh, I so much like that better.
Yeah, I was gonna say that sounds.
I don't think that last sentence is necessary. It is our practice to call the parents with a positive test or refusal, and that doesn't need to be something they consent to. Perfect. So we'll do this.
What does the SS2 mean?
I have no idea.
Okay.
No idea.
There we go. So what else did Megan say? So my comment on policies are included below regarding the breathalyzer form. I have questions as to whether this is used for every student and guest before school activity. It's interesting because it certainly removes the Fourth Amendment unreasonable search and seizure argument if the parent consents in advance to the test. But I can't imagine that we actually confirm that we have these on file before allowing a student to enter a dance. If we have figured out a way to administer that, then great, but I caution having the form if we aren't using it consistently as it is contemplated, because we then undermine our other ability to test without reasonable suspicion. Good point.
Mm-hmm.
Except,
Is it something that can be in the handbook that's signed with the handbook?
But then
I
we
think-
couldn't get a guest student to do that.
well, I think that's gonna have to be the due diligence of the school.
Yeah.
That for guest students, if someone's coming, I would think, back in the Stone Age when I went to school, you know, if you went to buy tickets and you were like, I need two and I'm bringing so-and-so from the cross rival school, then that person selling the ticket is obligated to give them the form and say, well, you need to have the student
Mm-hmm.
sign it. But I don't know if it's students selling tickets, I mean, cause that's where it gets a little
Yeah.
questionable.
But if you had one for the students in the handbook and then, I mean, I can't imagine they have like 30, 40, 50 guest students, but maybe they do, I don't know, at a dance.
Yeah.
But they should be able to manage that portion of it just for guest students
I
to
would
make
think
sure that
so.
those are turned in.
However, if a guest student has a ticket and their parent hasn't signed the form and they're willing to take the breathalyzer test,
Mhm.
I mean, and see that this whole thing got started because no one even knew we were doing it. No one meaning the board or the administration, and we had no policy, we were just doing it because prior administration decided that that would be a good idea, and they partnered with Sandpoint, saying that we're just gonna do this for our kids.
Oh.
I know, I'm like, huh. Not that it's a bad thing, but I think if we have that big of a problem, I think we have something far worse on our hands,
Yeah.
personally. But,
Yeah, giving our students and having that notification out that this is necessary is one thing, but how do you get a parent of a guest student to know in advance
I know, I don't know.
to take care of this before their student comes to a game or dance or whatever?
Right. Okay, so Megan's
Yeah.
Falls a
suggesting.
lot on our students to notify their guest, which
I know.
But
we're
I think
not-
if you're bringing a guest, I mean, it's part of your due diligence to do it.
it
But-
is, but
From the flip side of the coin, if we are loosey-goosey about this, and it's on our website, and we don't follow it, and
Yeah.
a student's drunk and gets in an accident,
Yeah.
and
And we didn't
we
figure out.
participated, I mean, that's where I'm like, ooh,
Mm.
what are we doing here?
Yeah.
I just don't, the board, when this came out, that we were doing this, and we're like, do parents know this? And they're like, what do you mean? It's like, you can't just do that. But they believe they can because of the guidance they were given from prior administration. And come to find out, you know, there's that Fourth Amendment. Darn it. So we just wanted to make sure that parents were fully aware that if your students do this, then, you know, if they're willing to go to the dance, you as a parent need to understand your kid's gonna be breathalyzed.
Yeah.
So my thought was that
Yeah.
the form was about parents understanding and signing off on the fact that they realize that breathalyzers will be used at events
Hmm.
and that they're giving permission for their kid to be breathalyzed.
Okay.
That was my understanding.
But also within that system, there needs to be some red flags. So if a student refuses,
Mm-hmm.
we need to be able to have right here, yep, mom said no,
Right.
in which case, we're saying no to coming in, kind of thing.
Right. This is always a pickle.
Just like
Everything
libraries.
else.
Parents say, yes, they could read these ones, or they can't, so the librarians have to have this whole, sorry,
Yeah.
you can't pick that book, you can't take that, it's the same thing.
Yeah. But unfortunately, given that we can be sued now.
How strongly worded is it, how stressed is it in the handbook,
I don't know.
as far as this policy goes?
I'm not sure.
Because, I mean, if it's, is it all part of the whole signing in, the whole registration process, that they sign off on this particular form? Or is this an additional?
This form didn't exist prior to Maria creating it.
Okay, so
So nobody signed it.
in
right
my
now.
mind,
Correct.
this needs to be part of the high school, registration. So it's all taken care of up front. And somewhere within that
Well-
form, somewhere within that, reading that, providing that policy with them is, when you sign this form, you're also saying, I understand my student chooses to bring a guest, that it's my responsibility to let that other parent know.
Don't know that parents wanna assume responsibility for.
But then there's no other,
I mean, I don't know that,
Yeah.
like if, I don't know that a parent of a student wants to assume responsibility for another student that's not theirs and they're not in their control.
But that they let those other parents know that we have this particular policy.
Okay.
Because otherwise, we're relying on that parent of a guest student to go onto our website and find the form and fill it out. I don't think that's gonna happen.
Okay.
When they sell tickets, well, I guess I'm just.
I guess it goes back to when, who sells the tickets?
Yeah.
And do they specifically ask a kiddo?
Are you
who are
bringing
those
a
tickets
guest?
for?
Yeah,
Are you bringing,
that's
is
what
this
I
for
was
a
gonna
guest,
say.
who the guest is? Here's the form.
Maybe you just can't do it on guest students. Maybe it's specifically for students.
Well, maybe it's something.
Because with a guest student, you can
Yeah,
always
so
just call, you can stop them at the door and say, I'm sorry, but I smell alcohol, I can't let you in. You don't have to breathalyze them, and if they throw a fit, you can get law enforcement, and then they'll find
Right.
PC if they can smell it.
Let them
Right.
So you could do
iron
it
out.
just for students. I mean, the truth is, there's never gonna be a solid way to make sure that nobody in those dances or anywhere else.
Correct.
You know
Or
what I
that they
mean?
don't come in with something special.
Right, so.
Really good fruit punch, I don't know.
Yeah. It's just
It's my
water.
specialist recipe for fruit punch. So, I don't know,
Yeah, it's definitely a hard one, but I would almost say just get rid of it for the guest student and make it a student thing.
well, Megan says, I think I would delete student from the school-sponsored activity. That is too limiting and can create an argument that something was a district-sponsored event rather than a student event, and therefore we didn't have consent to test.
Oh,
So she's saying,
Just make it any Lakeland event. No, not there, not eliminating that, it's down, any school-sponsored student activities, so take out any school-sponsored activities, period. So in that, end of that paragraph, take out the student. Any school district activity.
Well, it was breathalyzers at any school-sponsored student activity prior to entry of school-sponsored activities.
But she's saying, don't specifically say student, student activities, cause they might say,
Okay.
oh, well, this wasn't a student activity, but you did it.
Yeah,
Okay, so,
like
okay.
the faculty put this on, not the students.
I can't imagine what activity we have that wouldn't be for the students,
That the students would be at.
that the students would wanna come to. But somebody could hash out that little fun point.
Okay, so.
I think notifying the parents of a guest student prior to an event and getting that signed form is gonna be pretty tricky.
Mm-hmm.
Oopsies, that's not what I wanted. Except I did take out the bullet points instead of lining through them. Ding dong. Alright, so we did do that, so, and then that's irrelevant because we just used her sentence. Okay, so.
And as far as her point was, if the parent consents in advance of the test, but I can't imagine that we actually confirm that we have these on file. Again, if that's part of registration, the registration isn't complete until we have that on file. And then they can create, I'm sure they can easily create a form saying, oh, these 16 students, we have not had anything from mom or
Right.
dad.
But see, here's
Yeah,
the thing,
yes,
to
so-
my knowledge, we don't breathalyze at every single event. We don't do it at football games, we don't do, I mean, what I do know is that we do it at the, Battle for the Paddle
Mhm.
and prom. So, I don't like that we're opening the door to be willing to do it, you know, run around at every event. I mean, I don't like that, especially since we're saying down here that if a parent refuses to consent, then that may result in disciplinary action. I think we should
No, I'm saying
identify
if
the
if they get a
events.
positive test, it may result in disciplinary, so if.
I understand that refusal to consent to this breathalyzer parent consent form, a positive test, or a refusal to take
Oh,
the
okay,
test.
I read that.
So that's I don't like that. It's like not every parent's gonna agree to let their child be breathalyzed. So I think what should be identified is when we use it. So if we're only using it at those 2 events, that's a given. Then we just identify those 2 events. Now but see,
Are the if and when with this in place, every student wants to come through that gate is gonna be breathalyzed, irregardless, or only under suspicion?
irregardless. And that
Oh,
is not a
wow.
word, so it's regardless.
But regardless, regardless.
Sorry, it's
True.
one of my
I
pet
mean,
peeves.
yes, so
It's not a word.
every student coming through.
That's what we're told, that's what the board's been told, and that's why the board was like, wait a minute, parents need to sign off if we're doing this to their student, and they're not aware, cause that's the thing, parents were not aware. And then there was the assumption that, well, we think parents know, it's like, if we're not letting them know, we don't know that they know, so you can't assume they know.
Is it really necessary
I think,
for every student?
That's, but then getting the language in there that the may be breathalyzed, who's making that decision of when, just like, Joey just got through the door, but you're stopping me?
right, and Joey's hammered, great.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, I don't know,
You can, I can see why you wanna do the blanket, but at the same time,
well, but I don't agree with the blanket, because if we're going to penalize a student because their parent is trying to protect their student
Yeah.
by not signing the form, that's not appropriate. Because, but in all fairness, if we're coming down saying, look, if your child wants to go to prom, or if they want to go to Battle of the Paddle, our process is every student is breathalyzed. You need to consent to that if you want your student to go.
Right.
I think that's absolutely fair. I don't think it's fair that we can be like,
Just blanket and say whenever we want,
Yeah,
at
when
any
it-
event,
right.
we can choose
Mhm.
to do this breathalyzer. And I think the other thing also is, and I could be wrong with this, but SROs are still, they're at the schools, but they still work with the sheriff's office, so
Yeah.
they at any time, they don't need this
they're part of the
consent.
police department.
So
they
if
only,
they have
no,
PC.
they have to, they need consent as an SRO, they do not need consent as a sheriff. Because what happens is, they have the ability to flip their hats.
Okay.
And so, if they decide that someone is breaking the law, they have the ability, it's at least my understanding,
So
to
we're gonna
decide
cancel
now
the
that
sheriff's office.
I am now the sheriff, I'm
Okay.
no longer the SRO. And usually, from what I've understood, when they feel that they're in that position, they have to call it in and be like, hey, you know, so it's not
Okay.
like they're just taking off their cape whenever they
Yeah.
choose to. They're following their own protocols and procedures, but that was part of the hiccups we have within some of the things that we're doing is the ADSSs have more flexibility than an SRO. Because an SRO's job is fairly limited, where an ADSS is more expanded.
Okay. I like if it's specific to specific events, and I like that you put it in there, because I do agree with you that I don't know if as a parent I would want to sign a form like this, and
No matter what, no.
to basically waive the rights of my kid for
Everything?
everything.
Right.
But if I'm like, well, when you're going to prom, they want to breathalyze you. Yes, you're going to
You
take the
say-
breathalyzer if you want to go to prom. They're doing it to
Well,
everybody.
and-
But they can't
Yeah.
walk around at a football game and be like, I smell alcohol somewhere over here, so I'm going to choose you out of this group, come over here, and you're going to take a breathalyzer.
Well, I think, you know, where you had student activities in there,
Mm-hmm.
because Battle Paddle, prom, those are predominantly, I mean, Battle Paddle, there's a lot of parents that come, but
Mhm.
there's a lot of students
Mhm.
that come. And prom, it's all students.
Mhm.
We don't let adults in there. So that's where I think that student language, because it's student-centered, maybe,
Mm.
activities, or,
Okay.
because I think that's where that student came in there.
That could
And she
be.
didn't like that.
Right, because she
doesn't wanna be specific at all.
Right, she doesn't want it specific because we open the door then for any time we choose to
Mhm.
breathalyze. But, the reality is I don't like this. I still would like to know what that SS2 means. 'Cause I mean,
Popped in there somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know that Maria wrote this. But, what I just, I get it, we need to let parents know, look, if you're not gonna let us breathalyze your kid, then there's a consequence for that. But I don't think it should be so broad that it's like, now your kid can't go to the football game because you didn't sign the breathalyzer form.
That whole sentence, it mixes two different things. I mean, we could refuse, if you refuse consent, then you're saying that they can't come to prom.
Correct.
Or they deposit test.
They don't
get
get to come. Right, they're not getting in.
So that that sentence needs to be separated a little bit, because the disciplinary action would happen to one of our students, not to a guest student. We don't have the ability to do that, if we still have it. So I understand refusal to consent is yes, will result in my student not being able to, or not being granted attendance or entry into the event. A positive test may also result in dismissal or disciplinary action according to district policy.
Well, with the other students, we may not be able to punish them, but we can call the cops for an MIP.
Yeah. That's not our disciplinary action.
Yeah.
Or just say, further understand that positive tests will result in appropriate authorities being notified and but also is that also spelled out in district policy?
I don't know, because, I don't, the policies on the website aren't the new policies that address breathalyzers. I think.
I'm just saying our.
I don't know, I usually will pull that policy up to make sure that we're not saying something that's not within.
If you want, there you go, cause those are up. Yes.
But within our drug policy, there would be, there's something to the point that you're
I
found to
think-
be using them on school property or, under the influence while on school property, that
Right.
may be disciplinary action. So I don't know if we,
That must take so long to get everybody in the door at prom and stuff, for everybody to have.
well, that's just it. Yeah, you got 50 mallcats in there at the same time.
Well, and I
And
think.
it's not a quick blow.
Mm-mm.
But I think there's, if I recall, there is something that's fairly efficient that they utilize that like alerts them to say, you need to breathalyze this person.
Okay.
But
But they have an aura.
One of our SROs is going to come in and do a demonstration when we take it to the board too, so that the board can see exactly how it works.
Oh, that would definitely be a good idea.
Yeah,
View the agenda. It helps if I have those on. Attachments. Okay, so let's see. It is in right here. Those are the two that are going before the board. That's the search and seizure, and that's the school sponsor. Is that all? Oops. I'll give it to you. I don't know what I'm
I
doing.
got you there. You take it from here.
I
There we go,
tried.
there we go.
Oh, that's okay, I was just going down here to make this bigger too. Alright, so search and seizure, there is a section, I thought that we put in here. I guess not.
There's a little brief search and seizure there. Right there.
No, I thought we had
that's, yeah.
something specific to breathalyzing.
Mhm.
No, it might be in the other one.
That's there.
Oh, hey, I forgot that.
Or parentheses, presence of drugs, controlled substance, weapons, narcotics, alcohol, intoxicants. Specialized student, okay.
That's all in possession of, not imbibing in.
Right. I know we had a breathalyzer.
Oh, there's the second one. Oh my gosh. I didn't do very good with that draft. There it is.
Detection ones prior to conducting even a decision.
Building administration, yeah, right there.
Okay, so
But that's just in the process of.
right. Okay. Over here, do we have it? Student activities, social events.
Extracurricular. Breathalyzer testing may be required at any school-sponsored event.
Or activity, any social event or any extracurricular activity. Admittance and their parents will be
Breathalyzer test will be
notified.
denied admittance to, and their parents will be notified.
So, I wonder if we're going, if the form is all wrong. Because bottom line is what we're telling parents in our policies is at any point in time we choose to, we can breathalyze your student at our events.
If we feel that there's a viable suspicion.
Nope. Breathalyzer testing may be a requirement at any school-sponsored event or activity, any social event or any extracurricular activity. Doesn't say that we have to suspect anything. It just says we might do it. There is
Well,
no
it may
reasonable
be a
suspicion.
requirement, so we could make it a requirement for prom, battle paddle, which we have found in the past to be a problem.
Correct, and I
And I think
understand
that's
that.
why that.
That is
So-
why they started breathalyzing, was because there
Right.
was a problem at Battle for the Paddle. And fortunately, it wasn't our students, it was the visiting school.
Mhm.
But the thing is the two administrators for the districts agreed that they're just gonna breathalyze the kids. No one told the parents. And so that's where we were like, when we found out about it, we're like, oh, we've been doing this for years. We're like, what? Did we let the parents know? And it was, well, we just figured they knew. And it's like, you can't do that, especially when we don't have any policies that identify the fact that we are breathalyzing. So,
So within that policy, as it says, it may be a requirement at,
Right.
at any, so the may be requirement then kind of opens the door to say, these are the two or the three events that we experience the most problems. And so we're requiring it for these particular events. And that's where the consent form comes in. But again, how do you get it from guest families?
Yeah, I don't know that there's
Battle
a
of
winning
Hamlet's
way
one.
to get it
Yeah.
from a guest student. I think that there's no way that we're gonna accomplish that.
Well, and see, personally, I don't know that we have a duty with respect to notifying parents of guest students who choose to come. I
Mhm.
mean,
Yeah.
because then we're like all over the page with what are we not letting everybody know? But I think we do have a duty and an obligation to inform all of our parents that if your kid comes to these things, they're gonna be breathalyzed.
Mhm.
And if you choose not to allow your student to be breathalyzed, then we will not allow them entry. So it's a condition on going to the event.
Yeah.
Which I also think that the schools could do, on their tickets. They could say breathalyzing, a breathalyzed event, or something, just to, so that everybody knows. Come sober, have fun,
Yeah.
Which it drives me crazy because I think it makes it seem like everybody's an alcoholic and they're not. Most kids aren't.
Yeah. Well, and I think
So,
that's
But there's
where.
enough that spoil it. and make
Right,
it
one bad
dangerous.
apple.
Sure.
I know,
Well, they make
I
it
get
dangerous
that.
for others.
They do.
But I think that's where I get conflicted on reading these back and forth is because, and hearing what you guys are saying about like they will be breathalyzed, because there's one, if we suspect,
Right,
then you're giving
right,
us
it's
the
two
right
different
under
things.
suspicion. But if my kid shows up to prom and she's totally sober, but you're giving her a breathalyzer, and then I'm like, but you said if you
Irregardless.
suspected.
Right.
Regardless.
Yeah, did I say that, did it again, regardless.
It's okay. A lot of people use that word and I'm like, keep that shit.
So I think that's where it's hard, and I think we have to get rid of the guest student because it's just not gonna happen.
I
Yeah.
can't see how we can,
Right, because
Back that up.
the biggest thing is from the board's perspective, we wanted to make sure our parents were aware that this was
Mhm.
occurring and that they have the right to allow their student to go through this or not allow their student to go through this. It's parents don't lose the right to be their parent.
Do they, when there's, for these two events, do they send permission slips home for like
that, I guess,
prom?
maybe we need to directly hear what policy do they already have in place that we may or may
Cause if
not
they send
need
like
to
a
change.
permission slip, then you could just add, hey, this is a breathalyzed event. So by signing this, you're acknowledging that your child's going to get a breathalyzer. Cause if it's just for the two events, then but isn't Battle for the Paddle on a weekend, like not a school day? So people just come
It's
in.
on a Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually it's usually in December, like around the Christmas break time.
Yeah, well, Lakeland has one, but.
And you don't have to buy
so
tickets ahead of
so
time.
there's-
It's like a football game, all right? You just go. It's
So
in the
it's
gym, but you
different.
just show up.
Well, it's a big event and the kids compete
Mhm.
with,
It's a spirit
Like
thing.
wrestling and
Well, and it's,
all the
and
things.
usually it's boys and girls, whatever sports.
it's basketball.
Yeah.
And yes, but they do fundraising events so that they.
Okay.
It's a spirit week kind of thing
Yeah.
for both the high schools.
But is there because prom you buy tickets ahead of time to get in. So is Battle of the Paddle something you have to do ahead of time, or is that you can just show up at the door and
I think
enter?
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, I think we.
Okay, so then that would be a harder one, because
Yeah.
prom, I was thinking permission slip solves it,
Mhm.
but for Battle of the Paddle, if I just wake up and my
It's
kids are like,
more
let's
open-
go, and I'm
well,
like,
it's more
okay.
open to
Yeah,
the
right,
public.
right.
Yeah,
It is
okay.
a public
Whereas
event.
prom is gonna be, there's
That's
there's gonna be
specific to
some.
that.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
But not as many as you would for those big events.
So you may know, do we do, send home, permission slips or something like that, or sell tickets for Battle for the Paddle, prom, how do?
With prom, and again, I can't speak for the previous school, but yeah, we did have tickets. For Battle of the Paddle, this is brand new to me too, but I can quickly get this answer for you and go from there. If you give me a second, I'll call Jimmy and see what we do with that. But you guys are looking for specific tickets, is what you mean?
No.
No, just trying to get through the language so we
This-
don't get so
yeah.
tangled.
The struggle on this whole form thing,
Okay.
which the board asked for a form, because when the board learned that we were breathalyzing students,
Mhm.
when we had no policy supporting it, and two, the parents knew nothing about it.
Right.
So the board said, we need a form.
Right.
So that we're informing parents this is occurring.
Right.
Okay, so I don't necessarily, this was Megan's revision of, Megan gave a revision
Right,
of
I
the
read
last,
that.
the final paragraph.
Right.
Which I liked what she said, because it was a lot cleaner, clearer, made sense.
Right.
The problem is when we're saying that if you're gonna refuse to consent to your student being breathalyzed, then your student is omitted from
Any event.
any event.
Yeah, right.
Well, but we're not breathalyzing every event,
Right.
so why are we penalizing them?
Right.
So that's why, I mean, Megan says don't list it, but if we have a history where we only traditionally breathalyze at 2 events, Battle for the Paddle and prom, then those should be listed on the form, and should the need arise that we need to add another event or more events,
Yeah.
or we need to review the thing because, you know, everybody's just needing to go to AA, I don't know, then we look at the wording. But nowhere other, I mean, I pulled up the policies, not that one, this one, where it talks about breathalyzer testing may be a requirement at any school-sponsored event or activity, any social event, or any extracurricular activity. Because the way the form is written, basically we're gonna be breathalyzing at football games, basketball games, baseball games, I mean, any school activity. And it just bothers me that I think that we're lording so much power. I don't think that, at least from my perspective, that wasn't the intention at all from the board. The board was like, inform the parents. Figure out a way to make sure parents understand that if your students are going to these events, or event, that they may be breathalyzed, or they will be breathalyzed, because it's not optional at Battle of the Paddle or prom.
Right.
It was just a decision that was made, but nothing backs it up.
Right. From what I understand for Battle of the Paddle, it's something that both schools promoted, because that's, you know, that, and I just know this because my son obviously was at, they had it at some point last year. So it's always been something about it. So and again, Michelle, I want to make sure I understand clearly what you're looking for here. So we want the form to inform parents that they could be breathalyzed at these specific events only, or because I'm with you, to do it at every event, I don't know how I feel about that. You know?
Well, I don't think that's the intention of breathalyzing.
Right.
But the thing is our policies didn't address it. Our policies didn't even alert anybody that it was occurring.
Right.
And it was just occurring, and when the board found out, they're like, wait a minute, we don't have no policy to support this, and the parents don't even know.
Right.
So we need to stop.
Okay.
We need to stop stepping on toes,
Okay.
and just make people informed.
Right.
Because, you know, we're asking, do the parents know? And the response was, well, we think they do. It's like, that's
I've
not
heard
a
that before,
parents.
yeah. Yeah.
So, we
So-
asked for a form, and I'm just curious if this form is,
And at what point do they, just a clarifying question, at what point do they sign it? Do they sign it, you know, do we give it out, you know, this week only specifically, or, and we only give it out to those specific kids that are gonna go to the event, you know? So-
well, the thing is from recollecting, I believe, the form is supposed to go out at the start of the year.
Okay.
To make parents aware.
Right.
That there are a few events that this will happen.
Right.
The policy basically gives carte blanche to say we can
Right.
breathalyze
Yeah,
whenever.
yeah, you read it.
Which, I never caught that, but it's too many words in my head.
Okay.
So, Megan's suggestion is don't list the events, but I'm not comfortable, and I would argue this with the board, in stating that, you know, you refuse to sign this form, you've basically doomed your kid to not being able to do anything. I don't think that is appropriate.
I get what you're saying.
Or the intent.
No,
Right.
it
No, it's
wasn't
not.
the intent at all.
We're having some special events that we basically we do a breathalyzer at. That's
Because
really
we've
to,
experienced
and,
problems, enough
and if you
problems to
choose.
justify that.
Well, and they are
Right.
mass populated events, it's,
Mhm.
you know, there's a lot of bodies there and a lot can, you know, it's
A lot
just,
can
it's a
happen.
deterrent. And I get that, and I'm not against it, I'm against not letting parents know that this is what your student is, participating in.
Well, and the other thing is these are not, they may or may not, these are they will.
Correct, these two events,
So-
they are breathalyzed.
Yeah.
So there's not a wiggle room, well, maybe they're probably not gonna breathalyze my kid, maybe I'll sign or not. The parents know when my child goes to this event, they will have a breathalyzer
Right,
done.
right.
So it's just cut and dry and easy to list the 2 events that they know it's gonna happen at.
Right.
And then admin just needs to be aware that anything else they need to not be doing not walking around football stadiums.
Hey, come
You
here.
smell special.
You-
Yeah.
Would there ever be an occasion where, like, a big football game, not necessarily about a paddle or anything
Mhm.
like that the SROs would initiate that because of something that they suspected?
I don't know, I mean, because I
I
know,
mean,
like.
is that an avenue that,
But
but
at
then
our-
again, it's not,
But see, at our
It's not
football
us.
games, we have the ADSSs and the SROs.
They're there as
They're
a-
all there.
yes,
And they're there as basic crowd control.
but also, they got their eyes and ears.
Correct, I
over
mean,
what's going on.
yes, no, we've had some pretty nasty events occur that.
But there's
I'm like-
also typically law enforcement there, like Rathdrum PD is typically
Correct.
always there, so
Correct.
if
So we don't
anything happened
really-
outside of
Yeah.
these 2 events, you can always do the proper channels, just
Right,
call
there's
law
other
enforcement.
channels
Right.
Well,
than
we-
breathalyzer, but it's because
Correct.
of those, specifically those 2.
The whole thing came about because we do it at 2 specific events.
Yeah.
But within our policy, we've broadened it so that, you know, if we suspect, we can use it, which I understand, and I don't necessarily have a problem with. I just think the biggest problem I had was we weren't informing parents, we do this and your child may be subject to it. That to me is just, you don't do that to people.
And I think then this needs to be specific to,
Yeah.
now, Lakeland has, is Lakeland paddle?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So what, but Timberlake does something similar.
Yeah, with,
But I can't think of what it is,
bars,
fish, is it fish?
is, God, what is the name of it?
Fight for the fish.
Fight for the fish.
Yeah.
So we need to add that in there.
Okay, but here's the other problem, they don't breathalyze up there. That's where this got so messy, because it's like, well, you need to, and then, you know, okay, so we have
So then I would do the
fish.
events that you know for
Fight for the
sure,
fish.
the absolute, your child will be breathalyzed. And if something in the future comes up, like Fight for the Fish, they decide we're gonna start doing this here, then it just has to be
Change it.
added.
Have changed the policy.
But it won't come until the next school year, cause it goes. See, I'm
Well,
learning.
And I know that at the meetings, when we were doing these policies, that Timberlake was like, oh, we don't wanna have to breathalyze. But, I think that if we're going to lay a standard as a district, it needs to be at both high schools. I don't think it just
Yeah, we
needs
can't
to be at Lakeland.
specific to Lakeland.
No.
Hmm. Well,
Implying that Timberlake doesn't have any problem.
Or.
Or, yeah.
We don't wanna look at it.
Who knows what it could be implying.
Could we say promenade? Would everybody know what that means?
promenade.
That's what it's short for.
Yeah, it is, you're absolutely right. Yeah,
People wouldn't know what it is. What is a promenade? Are we having a
I,
parade?
it's all promenade lyric. I'm trying to align to what, Michelle, you said. Yes, I agree with you 100%. If there's a possibility that we're gonna be breathalyzing, we need to inform parents as such. You know, and you know more about this than I, and I'm gonna give you 100% credit in regards to Fight for the Fish and why they don't do it there, but they do it at Lakeland. I just know that, I know it was always a priority from what I got from my son, Chris, that was part of the deal. Sandpoint and Lakeland, they've always agreed that, you know, if you're gonna come there, we're gonna breathalyze you. You're gonna come here, we're gonna
There was a
breathalyze you.
problem that occurred because Sandpoint came to our school grounds and it was bad.
Yeah.
the drinking, it was bad. And so that's what prompted, I mean, because,
I get it.
and that's what prompted it, which is fine.
Yeah.
I don't mind that we do it. I want our parents, for our students to be informed.
Okay.
That's the reality. If we're not informing them, I don't think we're doing our job.
Yeah.
No,
I agree with you. I have no problem with that at all, so.
and I don't even think Timberlake breathalyzes at prom. They just don't do it. But it was my understanding they're supposed to be getting a breathalyzer. I don't know if they have one.
Yeah.
Because they don't have any ADSSs up north. It's all SRO. So I don't know. But I think it needs to become a requirement for at that senior high school
that
level.
Mhm.
It's just a protection.
But this is just a form. It's not within policy.
Well,
It
what's
is.
in
It says we
policy-
may.
Well,
It says we may.
And so that leaves it open to something specific.
Right.
That's-
But
there's
what
the may,
I
there's the
also
definite.
think can become problematic is when you have two schools doing the exact same events, but they're not following the same processes. We open the door for other issues.
Well, and it's because Timberlake obviously didn't have that situation that obviously Lakeland had, so they, hence prompted the breathalyzer.
Mhm.
Yeah,
But if we're gonna make a policy, it's gotta be.
It should be
District
universal.
Mhm.
Okay. I can't remember the premise. It's not community sponsored. Community supported event.
It's just like a community rivalry. I mean, it's.
Well,
it's-
but see, the thing is it was not called Battle for the Paddle when my kids were in school. It was
Prairie pig.
Prairie Pig. So.
Prairie Pig?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And it was against.
I just dated
Sandpoint.
myself there.
No, I thought it was Post Falls.
It was Post
Or
Falls.
Post Falls.
Yeah.
It
not
was always
Sandpoint.
against Post Falls. They
Yeah.
were our rivals.
We were always
And then
rivals, yeah.
it-
Okay, that
But
makes
then
more
that's
sense now.
changed because we no longer play.
Yeah, there's
We
6A.
still play Post Falls?
Yeah.
We do,
But
but
it's not-
It's not a rivalry,
yeah.
yeah.
they're not a 4A school anymore.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
jumped
it's
up to
not the
5A.
same, yeah,
Right,
it's-
well,
it's
which I think now is 6A.
Yeah, there's
because
6A.
they
We're
gave
5A.
them the numbers,
Yeah.
which is
Sandpoint.
stupid.
Yeah. Okay. So the form, we want the form to be in policy is why we're even, because to me, I think you can almost give latitude to administration and this is just throwing it out there. Sponsored events.
Well, no, we.
No, I wouldn't put that in there now. As times change, if our.
Right,
We go to 7A or whatever and we have a new rivalry.
Right.
Or
then
I kinda like that, gives you some
comes out
flexibility.
And the new one goes in. Can we, I mean, since we are always reviewing policy.
Which is the
It's-
obligation of the
it's-
board
it's
to
al-
review every
it's-
single
it's
policy
always
every single
happening.
year.
And, and if that event changes, then it can be brought, like, we need to update
Right,
more sooner than later because it's happening
right, I agree.
next fall or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So, I don't,
So then that'll take away what we didn't like about it being blanketed, that if you don't sign this form, they don't go to any event.
Right.
Because now you're just
Mhm.
saying you have to sign this form for them to enter
these
these
specific ones.
specific ones.
And we can't worry about guest students because there's no way to get that, response from the parents' guardians. There's,
Right,
tracking that down is not gonna,
Mm-mm.
not gonna happen.
right,
Who has that responsibility?
right. And I don't think it should be.
Because as a
Yeah.
school district, we don't have that information of contact,
Right. Well,
and we can't put on
at an event.
Joey who was invited.
Right, but at an event such as Battle for the Paddle, where it is more a rivalry focus, there's no way we're gonna be getting Sandpoint to sign all these forms and
Right.
turn them in. That's just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
So.
And why is it, and again, please, just clarification. So we want parents all signed? You just said we wanted notification, so if that's proving that the
How do we
parents.
have a guarantee that a parent's aware of this if we don't have their signature?
Okay,
And it's not so much signing it as it is everything that I understand we do is just online and they check a box.
Yeah.
It is not a guarantee they've even read it, but there's a box to be checked, which
There
is
is.
the CYA for the district.
yep.
So, I mean,
And if it's part of registration,
that's right.
Mm-hmm.
they can't get out and the district
Register
knows
until
like,
it's checked.
these 10
Right.
parents have not done
Yeah.
17A form or whatever
Right,
it is.
right.
And so they're gonna be after them to do that.
So,
And they'll have that at that particular.
I'm just
event.
gonna play devil's advocate here, so, so my child went to Battle for the Paddle, I had the document, I didn't sign it, but he's still breathalyzed. How do you, you know, you understand, that, I guess that's my concern with signing a form off on it. Again, then we have to go through, you know, multiple forms to determine.
Well, it's my understanding that the way it works with registration,
Yeah,
there's all different kinds of.
There is.
You've been informed of this,
Right.
you signed here, or you checked the
Right,
box
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But you could easily make it so they actually.
But I
put
think
their
he's
name in there.
saying at the actual event.
Actually, the actual
that
event.
if you're intoxicated and I come to you and I make you breathalyze, how do I know in
As
that
the
moment?
administrator that's going to be there, they're gonna have their own little sheet. And they'll be able
That's
to
a
say.
lot.
And that's a lot to, during this event, I'm just trying to tell you, trust me, I've been
They're
a
gonna
high
have
school
to have some
principal.
sort of printout at the door, some
Then,
sort of on the
so,
laptop,
and again, I'm just
whatever.
playing devil's advocate, so it's not signed, so Rusty doesn't get to go to the Battle of the Paddle, cause we don't have a signed, form.
Mhm.
What if
That was
instead of having a form, we just blanket school-sponsored events? There's a chance that you may be breathalyzed.
Well, that's what the
and-
policy does say.
Yeah, since it is, it's an extracurricular, I mean, it's not like we're denying somebody education based off of
They
it.
have to go.
You know, either you come or you don't go, you have to follow the rules, and one of the rules there is
You may be breathalyzed.
you may be breathalyzed, just like we expect no fighting,
Yeah.
but we don't make them sign, I'm not gonna fight.
That's a good point. Another thing too, and I just going to
So
Michelle.
fighting isn't a violation of the Fourth Amendment.
I was gonna say, but is
Yeah.
hoping they have seen and acknowledged this and checking a box going to actually not violate?
Well, it's, I mean, like what Megan said, you know, by having them sign this form, do they realize they're waiving
The Fourth
unreasonable?
Amendment, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's where I'm,
I think the point is, all right, so we want to make sure that people know, and that's where, you know, the parents know. I don't understand why I can't just send out I get what you're saying, Michelle, we need to sign. I think you create a lot of red tape, and I'm concerned too with the Fourth Amendment issue that you were signing off on your due process in regards to search and seizure, you know. That's,
well, okay,
yeah.
but you can hide behind that, but if you're gonna hide behind that, then we cannot do it for Battle of the Paddle, fight for the fish, or prom.
Mhm.
So you're saying it's
Without
all or none.
unreasonable suspicion. Just because we're having the event is not enough suspicion to think that everyone walking through that
I
door
get what
is
you're saying,
intoxicated.
absolutely, because
So-
you're saying, look, there is no reasonable suspicion, so
Correct.
you cannot breathalyze that kid based
Right.
off of that.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
That's why we're like, if we are going to stick to our guns and demand that we do this at our events,
Then you have to do
inform
it.
the parents. And with respect to what you're saying, I mean, yeah, I'm sure there's gonna be parents, I'm not signing that form,
Yep.
whatever.
Yep.
And their student's gonna go, okay? Well, we have the policy in place.
Right.
That says it may happen.
Right.
And on the policy, it clearly states that if you refuse to consent to doing this,
You're not allowed
then
in.
you're not allowed in.
Yeah.
And so I don't think they
So
need
that
to
puts
have
that-
a document showing who's filled the form, who hasn't, because I think we are trying, at least from my perspective, I'm CYAing all across the board. We have a form, if a
Okay.
parent chose not to sign it, okay, they realize that, their student's not supposed to be granted entry. So they go to the door and the student's like, I'm not gonna take the breathalyzer test. well, you're not going in.
Yeah.
And so they don't get to go in, and if
Right.
their parents raise a stink and we find that their parents did not sign the form, well, now we've just, we've got our hands crossed, because we did exactly what we said what we were gonna do.
Okay.
If you don't sign the form, your kid's not gonna go in. Well, the kid didn't go in because the kid refused to breathalyze. Well, the policy says if you refuse to breathalyze, you're not gonna be able to go in.
So,
So it
again,
covers it.
It does,
Yeah.
it covers every angle.
you're saying the policy and the
Correct.
form together.
Mhm.
Okay, I understand what you're saying.
Well, the form, to me, is an awareness piece. I don't think we have to have the administrators with a book of names to check off to make sure, etc., because the policy comes into play. The policy is
Yeah,
always
absolutely.
in play.
I agree.
The reality is parents didn't know that this was going on. So we're letting them now know this is going on.
Devil's
But what-
advocate,
but what
the
if
kid goes in.
The kid says, okay, fine.
Yeah,
Mom and dad never signed it.
yeah.
Right.
And they pass, and they go in.
And
And
they
then
go
they
home and they say, I
They
took a
go,
breathalyzer.
I took
I took a breathalyzer, and mom and dad have a connection.
Well, yeah, and we're still covered anyway, we just didn't inform them,
Because
Well, they
the
were
policy-
informed, they just didn't sign it.
But the
So-
policy says that at any of these events, they may, but it says may under suspicion. Doesn't it? In the
No,
policy?
Not in
No.
that paragraph, it did not.
Oh, okay, I thought it was if there
Later it
was,
says, that was
may.
under search and seizure.
in the event that there's cause
Cause
to
to
believe.
believe that the
Yeah.
student, yeah.
So
Well,
that's
right
why
there.
we were
May
talking
be
about.
required at any
requirement.
school event, yeah, so we have policy now that, or you've always
Will
had.
have policy.
Yeah.
It hasn't been approved yet.
Oh, so, really? Wow, so this is the willy-nilly you were talking about, huh? Yeah.
This has been a 2.5-year battle, I think.
So this is the May. They're informed.
Mhm.
The consent form, which they can choose to not
Not
sign.
signed, right?
Or just to skip over and do the check.
Mhm.
Either way, they're informed.
Right.
So whether they sign it or not, and so they really can't
It's a
come back
moot
and
point,
say-
what you're
Yeah,
saying. It
it's,
doesn't,
yeah, it's a
we,
moot point.
we're just notifying you, I get it. And so we want this through our registration is what the plan is on this form?
I believe
Michelle?
so, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'm a lot more comfortable with this, not that I was trying, I'm just trying to learn, in a sense, because our policy is always, hey, look, we breathalyze, when it would come to our high school. Any dance, we just said, look, we do it. And we had the may, even with reasonable suspicion, you may be breathalyzed. So I will tell you though, they brought it in, Mike brought it in, and it's really cool. It's not the old blow in the tube. You just blow at it, and it doesn't give you a register, amount, but it says either you are under the influence or not. So I thought that was pretty cool. It's really quick and fast and slick, so it's really nice.
Well, if they're underage like that, you don't need a number, you just need to know
Yeah.
what they.
Yeah, you just
Right,
need to know.
right.
Yeah,
But
just
but
need
that's
to know.
what. But
Yeah.
for ours, they use the old one, or not the old ones, but the one where you actually, as a driver, you actually
Blow and
blew
go.
into it. Yeah. So yeah.
Oh, they changed after every student. That's gross.
Oh yeah. Oh no, they did. We
Oh, you did?
you just pulled
There's
it
no
out.
plastic sleeve,
Yeah,
another one
plastic-
on.
another plastic sleeve. Yeah. So anyway, okay.
Well,
So,
plastic.
yeah. So now it comes down to simply listing or not. Really, it
Right,
is.
and I think
We have to.
I think we do as well, but I think the board needs to be made aware of Megan's suggestions and the fact that she doesn't think that.
Out of curiosity with the illegal search and seizure for the Fourth Amendment, how does that, like if you go to a concert, you have to go through and get a wand waved over you?
Mhm.
Well,
You're
An
consenting.
illegal adult,
Yeah.
I consent to it.
Yeah,
I wanna
these
go
are
see-
minors.
You can either go, no, I don't want to do it,
And then
and
you
you
don't
don't
get
go
it.
in.
Yeah, that's
right.
But there are instances where kids under the age of 18 go in alone.
I think it's part of the ticket. They say, hey, look, if you buy the ticket, you could be subjected to, safety check.
Bring your clear bag that shows everybody what you're
Yeah,
carrying.
right,
your bag.
Michelle, can you go down what Megan wrote so I can just kind of look at that right quick? The paragraph that she rewrote. You said it a lot. Okay, Megan. Okay, I forgot to understand it.
altered that a little bit, because it was too much together.
May result in disciplinary action?
Well, that's why we changed it.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
Well, we altered it up above.
Yeah, we
So
broke it
it's
apart.
clear.
I just, yeah,
Yeah.
So it was
I understand refusal.
refusal and then positive test. As
Yeah.
different
Whether I
results.
understand the positive test and refusal to take this may result in disciplinary action to include dismissal from school-sponsored activities from the property and further
Well-
disciplinary action in accordance to the district policies.
I think maybe it needs to be 3 separate I understands, because refusal to take the test isn't going to be disciplinary action.
That's
It's
true.
just
That's
going
true.
to be non-admittance.
You're just not in.
Right.
Mhm. So I would make that a refuse. I would be the next one about the refusal. Refusal to what?
There you go. Refusal to,
Consent to the breathalyzer will result in my student not being able to have entry. And then further, a positive will be disciplinary.
I understand refusal to take.
Breathalyzer.
Yeah.
Result.
Yeah, and that's in line with policy.
yeah.
Yep.
So I understand that refusal to consent to this form results in my student not being granted entry. Refusal to take the test will result in my student not being granted entry, and that a positive test may result in disciplinary action up to and including dismissal from the school-sponsored activity, from district property, and further potential disciplinary action in accordance to district policies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like the breakup. It's nice, clear.
Keeping it in red.
I was just gonna say, maybe this one you
Don't
should
make it
keep
black,
it red.
keep it red.
And a line for an initial.
Yeah, and
Initial-
three
initial
initial lines.
And I don't know if anybody goes down 41, but the new Chevron gas station.
Yes, $1.54.
No, 89 cents.
Down to
What?
89. It was about 54
cents.
earlier.
89, when I drove by tonight, it was 89 cents. And then and I was like, I need gas. And then I was coming back and I'm like, you don't have time to get in that line. So I'm just going to go back down to 89 cents.
Trying to get you in there, are they?
It's almost worth it.
I know.
Here, but
Oh,
don't hold us
worth
that
it.
way.
89 cents.
Wow.
Who knew that?
We're going to
I
have
just
gas wars.
filled
Yeah.
my tank.
Let's
this
do it.
morning. I am so bad.
Oh, man. Okay, so that's a little
Cyanide.
But it is 89 cents, so I
What
think
was
it's worth it.
diesel?
I don't know.
Free.
Yeah, I'm with you
I
on
just
the
heard
diesel.
it.
That's all 89 cents.
Well, it's like how on government zips by Home Depot used to have like leg or arm, for the cost of gas. So when I saw that, I'm like, is that really 89 cents? And I looked and I'm like, that explains the line.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it is 89
That's
cents.
crazy.
I'm like, woohoo! Go get gas. So, yeah.
I
Okay.
digress.
So, yeah, right, here we are. Okay, so I think this can go to the board for, I guess, discussion on everything. Who knows? And I think we've hit all what she wanted.
Yep. Well, ladies, thanks for including me in the conversation. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Ah, Jesus.
So, that one is done. That away.
Aw, man.
Well, okay, so.
Did you get it?
No.
Oh.
You don't.
Oh,
Yeah.
guess we're done.
Oh, we have 10 minutes.
We have 10 minutes.
I'm sure we could.
I don't know, we spent 5 talking about gas.
Gosh, it was only 2. It was 2 minutes.
Oh gosh, you're gonna
You
make
gave her
me
the mouse.
have to
Oh.
click 3 times.
There we go. Okay.
If you want to do
Something short and sweet. We could do that.
if you go down to the sex equity one, that one is coming.
Sex equity?
There.
Yeah.
Oh,
There.
for education?
That was coming back because we had policy feedback on it.
There we go.
Oh.
It's already been done. It just had feedback that came back.
One paragraph states no discrimination based on sexual identity. The next states they won't be excluded from programs based on sex. Please specify sex at birth or generic sexual makeup, so we are not in a situation where a boy identifying as a girl is allowed to play on girls' sports teams, etc.
Real quick before I forget, what are we numbering breathalyzer one? Because it doesn't have a number.
She's gonna go back.
I don't know. We'll ask the board. That's right. Okay. So she's saying, oops, one spot. Okay, so let's do this. Let's do. All right. Sex equity, sex, gender identity, sex. Oh, when did we? When did we do this?
I don't remember the date.
This was a long time ago.
Where's
Right.
the history?
Is committed to ensuring equal education opportunities and a discrimination-free environment for all students, staff, and applicants in accordance with federal law. The district does not discriminate on the basis of race, color, national origin, ancestry, sex, gender identity, sexual orientation, ethnicity, age, language barrier, religious beliefs, physical and mental handicap, or disability, economic or social conditions.
Have a nice evening, everybody.
Good night. Or actual or potential marital or parental status, or status as a homeless child. Any student may file a discrimination grievance. I also think
We highlighted that because you wanted to talk to the board about the gender identity and
right, and
because they were taking that out of order policies.
It's been taken out of other policies, so I believe I had asked for it to be taken out.
We were going to talk to them because I think it was in law, if I remember correctly, because this was the one that Jessica brought.
Where's the Idaho code?
Oh, it was word for word, I think, in the Boy Scouts, because we were asking what Boy Scouts had anything to do with it.
Right.
So I think it was word for word from Boy Scouts.
Which is down below. In yellow. Oop.
No, I get that.
Okay.
It's just the title, but the Idaho code 67. I don't know what that's saying,
Commission of Human Rights.
and I don't know why it's not listed here. Or am I just not? The way we're doing this is really hard to read. Oh, there. Okay, there it is. All right. AI overview. Gotta love AI. Race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. Race, color, sex, or national origin.
There's nothing about.
There's nothing about that.
gender identity
Yeah.
or anything like
So we
that
don't
in there, so
need,
we don't need that in there.
not at all, okay, so. What did he say?
Or disability.
Race, color, religion, sex, national origin. Race, color, sex, national origin.
It's just different
Race,
order.
race, color, oh, religion.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think it was word for word in, and we were wondering what Boy Scouts had anything to do with it, and if we go down to it, I think it was the Equal Access Act. It was just what it was called, was the Boy Scouts of America Equal Access Act. And I wanna say it was word for word from there.
Just giving,
I don't,
that just gives, schools have to give
yeah, they
access
have to let them,
they have to let them come.
Yeah, that's the,
But that has nothing to do with,
go to the Department of Education thingy. Is that
what are you talking about?
over, cause that's just the AI overview.
This one?
Yeah, does that take you to the code?
They need to allow them to come into schools for different events.
Right.
That doesn't,
But not for,
yeah.
Yeah, I don't,
Equal access, that's just equal access to public facilities.
right.
then I wonder if it was the one above it that had, cause I remember it was word for word in one of them. And I can't remember back on
Back on
the
Policy.
policy. What's the one? Elementary and secondary education. Cause we had those as talking points on those.
that goes way back, so. Yeah, no, this wouldn't have anything that pertains to any of that,
No,
cause that's a lot newer.
Take the part that's word for word and copy and paste it in Google.
Yeah,
and see if
see
that'll
what it
pop
came
up.
out.
good idea.
That's probably gonna pop up so many things.
Yeah, cause I remember cause we had brought it up and that we were gonna talk to the board about it cause of taking it out and it was word for word somewhere and I just cannot.
So,
Yeah, no,
none of that's gonna.
right.
Well, that's still in effect.
Right, it is, but it's not
Yeah.
gonna deal with gender identity or sexual orientation. Yeah, none of that's gonna discuss that.
Interesting.
Yeah. Race, race, color, national origin, ancestry, sex, ethnicity, age, language barrier, religious beliefs, physical or mental handicap or disability, economic or social conditions, or actual or potential marital or parental status or status as a homeless child. That's in
Yes.
Any student may file a discrimination grievance. No student shall, on the basis of sex, be denied equal access to program activities, services, or benefits, or be limited in the exercise of any right, privilege, advantage, or denied equal access to education and extracurricular programs and activities. The district guarantees equal access to all educational and extracurricular activities, programs, and activities, including access to designated youth groups as required by the Boy Scouts of America. Okay, hostile or abusive treatment, derogatory remarks, or acts of violence based on disability or other protected characteristics are strictly prohibited, considered discriminatory. Inquiries regarding compliance with this non-discrimination policy may be directed to 504 program coordinator. We don't have a 504 program coordinator, do we? We have a federal programs director and the director of human resources. Do you know if we have, because I know Kelsey Badger is is the federal programs director.
I think she might also be the 504.
Which would be the coordinator of, I mean, she does other.
Right, she has a big
Right,
title.
so I don't know that you need to
But-
change that language.
But I don't know
necessarily.
if we have a 504 program coordinator, is my question.
Isn't she who coordinates all that? Along with everything
She's
else?
federal programs director. So
So you would think,
we would say federal programs director. Because we're also doing the director of human resources.
okay.
But if we,
I'm just
don't know if we do or we
wondering,
don't.
I'm just wondering if we need to be. To
Here's the
switch it to
thing.
what it is specific right now, because
if,
these different titles, they change.
okay, this is about inquiries, correct. The federal programs director we're required to have, so why would we just not list that? Because that's never going away. But a section 504 program coordinator, we may not always have, because there may not be someone wearing that hat a particular year.
It might fall under the umbrella of something else.
Federal programs director.
Yeah, so if
So-
somebody looks at this and they're like, well, I wanna talk to the 504 coordinator, and you call somebody and they're like, we don't have one. Because they don't understand that it's
Right.
under the umbrella of somebody else, so.
Right, because
Yeah.
I would much rather go to the
The
top
jobs.
and then say, oh, I'm gonna give
Find
you
out.
to
Yeah.
Norma. I mean,
Yeah.
I just, okay. Okay, the district's Title IX coordinator is designated to receive inquiries and complaints related to sex equity and discrimination. Additional or annual notifications of this policy and coordinator contact information will be provided to students, parents, staff, okie dokie. Any individual who believes that they have been subjected to discrimination may file a civil rights grievance in accordance with the district's uniform grievance procedure. Complaints may also be submitted to the office through a complaint form. No individual shall be intimidated, coerced, or otherwise discriminated against for filing a complaint, participating in an investigation, or engaging in any protected activity under this policy. The district will not tolerate hostile or abusive treatment, derogatory remarks, or acts of violence because of disability against students, staff, or volunteers with disabilities. The district considers this behavior to constitute discrimination on the basis of disability in violation of state and federal law.
So,
Okay, so where was the second sex? Or was it just in
it was just that, and then but she also.
Cause the first
Maybe
paragraph
she-
says gender identity.
Right, but she
That's
also
the
made
second
some
one.
note of, based on
Sex at birth.
sex at birth. Or generic sexual makeup.
Okay, not heard it called that before.
That's a new one.
Okay, so I do think it would be
Just parentheses
prudent to
at
put
birth, okay.
sex at birth.
Parenthesize it. Or you can check or well, in parentheses or just leave it as the same.
Oh, sex and then
Sex
at birth?
Or just leave it.
I would say sex at
Okay.
birth. So based on race, color, national origin, ancestry, sex at birth, ethnicity, age, language
Well,
barrier.
Sex and gender identity are different though. So you can say that you identify as a female, but your sex is still male.
Right, and that's where this person was saying, so.
But by
Then-
putting at birth in, because if somebody has had a change,
Mhm.
I mean, we're very young, but it does happen.
It does.
So I think that at birth is important, because I think it's a valid point, that if somebody has transitioned and now they're in high school and
We're wanting to play,
they were born a male and now they're wanting to
like,
wrestle with the
which
females,
was the point
like-
of the person who
Yeah.
commented on that. Cause if we don't, then that does open it up to, which you have.
But
Correct.
for those for that specific instance, though, we do have a policy that states that, for that exact situation, anybody who has transitioned, we do have a policy that states
Mhm.
that.
But what they're saying here is our non-discrimination policy, we're not going to. If we put in, if we're not gonna, I think the person was commenting, so we put in gender identity or sexual discrimination, or sexual orientation, that's going to say, well, we're not gonna discriminate, so therefore, my son, daughter is going to be able to play whatever sports he, she wants.
Mhm.
That leaves us open to that, despite the policy that we have otherwise.
It's better
Because
to
that
have
can
it
be
and
called,
not
that
need
can
it
be
than need
called
it and not have it.
discrimination, yeah. And it's not,
Or biological sex.
Thank you.
I was struggling with that
Yeah.
too, but it just popped into my head.
Yeah.
Knew there was some other word.
oh, okay. To
Sex equity,
Sex,
okay,
yeah.
that works. All right, so I think that resolves the whole
Yep.
one sex reaction.
Getting back to the different directors, coordinators,
Mm-hmm.
there's reference to a Title IX director, coordinator.
Mhm.
Do we have a specific title of that?
That is Brooke. And it is called the Title IX coordinator.
Okay,
That's in our policy.
Okay.
But we also
the-
changed another policy, and Brooke said to just put the federal programs director, but I can't remember
Okay.
what one that was, cause we just did it. And it talked about section Title IX and 504. So I'm gonna,
encouragement.
because my struggle is like you said, if someone calls for the 504 coordinator
Mhm.
and it's not on the list,
Yeah.
they're gonna be said, well, we don't have that, which would be terrible. So they can ask for the federal programs director, and then the federal programs director can ferret it down to wherever that
Yeah.
person needs to go.
So like that.
Yeah. Alright. Okay. Alright, so that can go, I guess, back to the board. Yay, we got through two.
And that makes up for gas bird water.
Oh, please, we're now 10 minutes late, 9 minutes late according to this, and we'll be ending.